4, 3, 2, 1, and liftoff. Liftoff of the 25th Space Shuttle mission, and it has cleared the tower.
The rocket you just saw was the Challenger, under mission designation STS-51L. Unknown to its crew, their fate would be on the very same rocket. On the morning of January 28, 1986, the Challenger was prepared to launch after a number of delays from Launchpad LC-39B from John F. Kennedy Space Center in Cape Canaveral, Florida. The rocket was accompanied by a crew of 7, the commander of the mission, Francis R. Scobie, the pilot, Michael J. Smith, mission specialists Ellison S. Onizuka, Judith A. Resnick, and Ronald E. McNair, and payload specialists Gregory B. Jarvis and S. Kristen McAuliffe. Finally, at 16:3800 UTC or 11:38 a.m. EST, the rocket began a liftoff. The 3 main engines ignited at T-minus 6.6 seconds, while the 2 solid rocket boosters, or SRBs, ignited at T-minus 0 seconds, allowing full liftoff. After liftoff, outside cameras recording the launch began to notice smoke at the fuel joint at the attachment strut on the right SRB, indicating a failure of the SRB's O-rings, which were designed to seal the joint against the hot gases from the booster. Fortunately, at T plus 2 seconds, a piece of solid fuel from inside the booster moved inside the joint, providing a temporary seal. However, at T plus 36 seconds, at an altitude of 9,800 feet, roughly after 40 seconds of more flight, the Challenger experienced the strongest wind shear, which is just rapid change in wind speed over a short distance, ever seen during a shuttle launch. The shuttle's computers, attempting to counteract the wind shear, changed the pitch and yaw of the entire rocket, trying to be more aerodynamically suitable against the rapidly changing wind speed. This counteraction maneuver caused the solid fuel in the right SRB to become dislodged, opening the seal in the fuel joint's O-ring, and at around T plus 58 seconds, cameras began noticing the formation of plume at the attachment strut of the right SRB. Within a second, the plume became intense, causing the internal pressure of the booster to drop, enlarging and burning a hole in the failed joint. And just shortly after, at T plus 60 seconds, flames began to form and hit against the external tank. At T plus 64 seconds, the plume changed shape, indicating complete burn through in the external tank's liquid hydrogen tank, causing it to leak. At T plus 68 seconds, the flight controllers informed the crew. Transcript reads as follows. Flight controller, Challenger, go at throttle up. Francis R. Scobie, Roger, go at throttle up. This would be the last communication with the crew of the Challenger. At T plus 72.525 seconds, the Challenger experienced lateral acceleration, causing the right SRB to pull away from the external tank. This was possibly felt by the crew. At T plus 73.124 seconds, the aft dome of the liquid hydrogen tank failed, producing a propulsive force that pushed the tank into the liquid oxygen tank, while at the same time, the right SRP rotated about the forward attachment strut, colliding with the external tank, equating to roughly 13 meganewtons, or 3 million pounds of force. Finally, at T plus 73.162 seconds, at an altitude of 47,900 feet, the breakup of the Challenger began.
So the 25th Space Shuttle mission is now on the way after more delays than NASA cares to count. This morning, it looked as though they were not going to be able to get off.
1 minute 15 seconds. Velocity 2,900 feet per second. Altitude 9 nautical miles. Downrange distance 7 nautical miles.
With the external tank disintegrating, the Challenger veered from its correct altitude with respect to the outside airflow and was immediately torn apart by aerodynamic forces, resulting in a load factor of up to 20 Gs. The 2 SRBs then separated from the external tank and continued an uncontrolled powered flight for another 37 seconds. The boosters would then be destroyed by the range safety system at around 110 seconds after launch. Just a side note, Big Bird, yes, from Sesame Street, was supposed to be on the Challenger, but was not. Later that night, the at-time president, Ronald Reagan, addressed a report on the State of the Union, referencing the explosion of the Challenger and marking that day as a day of remembrance for the deaths of the 7 crew members.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd planned to speak to you tonight to report on the State of the Union. But the events of earlier today have led me to change those plans. Today is a day for mourning and remembering. Nancy and I are pained to the core by the tragedy of the Shuttle Challenger. We know we share this pain with all of the people of our country. This is truly a national loss.
Now, it is unknown as to what exactly caused the O-ring seal to fail, but it is believed to be prior rainwater which caused the seal to erode away. This would have caused burn-through into the external tank along with the unbalanced pressure, and because of the lateral acceleration that the Challenger felt, the Challenger could no longer maintain its integrity, leading to its disintegration. A year later, on February 26, 1987, the U.S. House of Representatives held a congressional hearing with NASA. NASA disclosed that the Challenger had been discontinued and redesigns of the SRB were being held, along with NASA creating a new office to oversee safety and reliability of future spacecraft, and NASA would not see their next flight until 1988. This disaster marked a tragic day in the history of spaceflight, showing how the failure to maintain and upkeep spacecraft can lead to severe malfunctions and integrity problems, and even death.